bribe merchants to improve their prices. You can buy the affection of a vendor in order to get better prices. Here I have these items that I'm going to sell for 381. You can see here I'm currently at -5 attitude with this guy. So I'm going to go over here and I'm actually going to pay this guy 160 gold. You can adjust this meter with the cursor, and then if you want to fine tune it, you can use the arrow buttons on your keyboard to move things one by one. Click there and then accept. Now this guy's attitude has gone all the way up to 100, which is the maximum. I go back here and I'm going to sell these again, but the selling price has gone up to 486, which is a 105 gold difference. This means that even over the short term, it won't take long for this investment to pay for itself. Also, you don't have to manually adjust the gold numbers. If you go up here, this will automatically balance the gold numbers on both sides for your convenience. Distract the NPCs you wish to rob. If you are going down the thievery route, then it's a good idea to distract the people you are going to steal from. So firstly, I start with a quick save, which is F5. Then, make sure your group is separated and have one of your characters speak to the intended victim. The intended victim is now looking that way. Go back and click on one of the Unchained members, start to sneak, and then go over here and pickpocket. My character's thievery is not very high, so I can't steal much. But the items I'm going to steal are pretty valuable, especially at this early stage in the game. That's the most I can steal, so I quit out and then I go running away. I'm going to have my other NPC finish the conversation and rejoin my Unchained crew member. Now, what I could do is I could run away and get away with the crime. Or, in fact more easily, I could teleport my entire crew away before the NPC merchant even knows that she's been robbed. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to stick around and let the victim catch me and start to question me. I'm going to talk my way out of it and then attempt to bribe. I just bribed 456 gold, but in actuality, all I've really done is I've just bought those items I stole for a tiny fraction of what they would have cost. And as you can see up here, the victim's attitude towards me hasn't gone down. I can now keep walking around and exploring this location without fear of her running around and getting mad at me. Buy the rain spell. During the early game, being set on fire and the puddles of poison, they pose a threat to you because you haven't yet built up your character to make them more resistant. My advice is to buy the rain spell because it helps to solve these problems. Plus, it helps you see invisible enemies too. This skeleton was here the entire time. When you look up the merchant locations on the wiki, it gives you map coordinates, which you can find up here in your minimap. This is an early game merchant located here on the map. She sells the restoration skill along with a few other health related items that you may find helpful. You can buy the rain spell from this merchant located here on the map. There are a bunch of other spells too, but the rain spell is going to simplify some of the upcoming battles by allowing you to wash away poison, oil, and to put out fire. Walkthroughs are okay for trophies and achievements. I only say this because getting all of the achievements took me well over 300 hours, and I went in blind, meaning that during my second playthrough I had to go back and look things up. There are no genuine cheats available or ways to bounce back and grab the things you've missed, and that includes even if you are doing silly amounts of saving. I may even suggest that as a first-time player, that you watch a walkthrough of the tutorial area first. If you are a very busy person in real life, it may be difficult for you to deep dive into the mechanics without somebody else showing you how to get started. You can won your way through most conversations. In many cases, you can just press the number 1 through mostly every conversation. There aren't that many situations where it won't get you through, one way or the other. The point being that in most cases, you don't have to be overly concerned with what is being said within every conversation. Many times it doesn't matter that much because the conversations are just flavor text. The most obvious exceptions are times like this when you are recruiting new team members. You can see here I won my way through the dialogue options, but when it comes to picking the type of fighter and the type of speciality, it's preferable to choose a little more carefully. As I say, pressing 1 through NPC interactions to get you there more quickly is applicable for a great many conversations, but not all of them. Here is another example where I give this monster the yarrow plant, which is option number 4. I then won my way through the rest to start the mini-quest. Don't worry about figuring out what to sell. Knowing what to sell is difficult at first because you don't yet know what's valuable or what's even rare, but over time you're going to learn what you can and cannot sell. Easy ones are weapons and armor because you already kind of know which is your favorite and which ones you'll probably never use. After that, click on the miscellaneous tab when you are selling. Do be careful, there are some things in here that are useful, such as the bedroll and shovel in this case, but typically there are several things in here that you've probably picked up that you can easily sell. Do try to remember, especially early game, that if things are in the miscellaneous category, it means they're not in ingredients, it means they're not in food, because each of those have their own categories. Though it sounds like I'm sort of brushing off the idea, the truth is that when you've played around 20% of the game, you're going to figure out what you should keep and what you shouldn't. So my advice is don't really worry about it. Read and then sell or dump your books. Click on the literature inventory slot, read all of this stuff, and then sell it. If you don't keep them, then you don't have to worry about accidentally rereading them. Plus, once you've read them and you have the information, you don't really need them anymore. I mean, you don't have to literally read them yourself, but once they've been opened and looked at, the game registers the pertinent information in your journal. Now, this is not true of skill books. Each skill book provides one skill for whichever character reads it. After that, the book is gone. You can craft and buy skill books, but during the early game, deciding which character gets which skill will require some thought. Now, when it comes to marking wares, even with the instructions, I had a hard time understanding how to mark wares so that you can sell them later. What you do is you hold the left shift button and you add items by left-clicking with the mouse button. The stuff you select will appear here in this section. Later, when you go to the shop, you can select this Wares tab. You can use this button up here to move them all over, and then this other button to balance the deal with gold, and then you can click to sell. Can't open a box? Just take it with you and then stash it somewhere public. Then, later in the game, when you've leveled up your lockpicking, you can nip back and you can open them all up. It's probably better than leaving them somewhere and forgetting about them. If you do not have the telekinetic power to pick things up, then the teleport gloves that you pick up later can do the job instead. Just be careful where you drop the stuff you pick up. And again, not to press the point, but you don't have to teleport somebody to the object. You can teleport the object to you. The most frequently used buttons. F5 is quick save and F8 is quick load. The game also auto-saves, so there's plenty of places to go back and redo the various events. If you press space during combat, then as you can see down here, it ends your turn. Having a button just for that is very convenient. Outside of battle, use the space bar to auto-collect everything that you find within strewn corpses and within containers. Just open up, press space, and everything within will be auto-collected. Hold Ctrl and then click to attack objects and peaceful NPCs. Holding Ctrl and attacking an object also means that you can break your way through certain wooden doors, if you wish. Hold Alt to see the things around you, perhaps the things you've missed. It doesn't work specifically for containers, but at least with those, the silver ones are containers that you've already checked, and gold ones are the ones you haven't opened yet. If you see an item with gold text, it means that item is unique, and it's probably well worth the effort to pick it up. In difficult areas where I'm most likely to get lost, I light things like this. I can't say that it helps all that much, except that when I find an unlit brazier or light, I can maybe assume that I haven't visited there yet. The two dagger symbols and what they mean. If you see this dagger symbol here, flat on the ground behind my character, that means I'm about to conduct a backstab, which typically causes more damage. However, if the dagger symbol is here on the edge, this means that if I decide to move, the enemy will do an attack of opportunity. Just to prove it, as you can see here, when I move, the enemy attacks. Introduction to cooking. If you own a pot or find a boiling pot area, you can add in just meat and it creates an item called dinner. This adds 2 strength and it heals 20%. Put in a potato and you get a boiled potato. If you put in a dinner and beer, you get dwarven stew, which doesn't seem so great, but during battle, you can eat both the dinner and the dwarven stew, and they don't cancel each other out. Penny mushrooms make health potions when they're combined with empty bottles. I go over here to ingredients, I put in the bottles, and then the penny bun mushrooms. I combine, and out comes a health potion. Then, if it's later in the game, you can perhaps consider combining 2 small ones to create a single medium health potion. Load your backpack with arrows. Your ranger should be the one using speciality arrows, especially if you have the arrow recovery skill. Anyway, to make things easier, put your arrows into a backpack, and then put your backpack on your hotbar. You can then access these arrows a little more conveniently during battles. So from up here, instead of having all the arrows on the hotbar, I can just go into the bag and I can select what I want. When you are on a high elevation, you're going to see these green pluses. They don't really mean anything. They're just showing you the extra range that you get from being up high. It doesn't mean that the enemy will be healed or that they will somehow take more damage. Also, when it comes to the hotbar, turn off the functions that automatically add things to your hotbar. Otherwise, it just gets tricky trying to manage the hotbar when you keep picking stuff up. My personal preference is to leave these 2 on and turn the rest off. Speaking of the ranger, if your shot is blocked, you can aim at a different part of the enemy, and there's a chance that the shot will still get through. Now, this is a very basic example just to demonstrate, but during the frantic melee of regular battles, knowing this is pretty useful. Barrels can be used while crafting. The big barrels can be used to create or upgrade other items. For example, here I combine an empty flask with the big oil barrel to create an oil flask. The barrel itself is not used up. Here I combine this spear with a poison barrel that I just picked up from this frog area. I now go back to the spear and you can see there, it now has poison damage. Also, just as a side note, if you pick up the Lucky Charm ability, it doesn't matter who in your party opens the boxes and the crates and all the other stuff. It still works for all of your team. My point being, you don't have to open up the crates and boxes with the character who has the skill upgrade. Thoughts on the start of the game. Story mode is the easiest mode because it greatly buffs your characters while hobbling the enemy. Explorer mode does a similar thing but to a lesser extent. Classic mode is what we'd consider normal mode, where neither your characters or the enemy have had alterations. Tactician mode is hard mode, where your characters stay the same, but the NPCs are more powerful and they are smarter and they have more AP and skills, and things such as your bartering have been debuffed by 2. Honor mode is pretty much the same, except that game overs are permanent because it deletes your save file. During the beginning of the game, have this door opened and then stand back here and attack this guard. This sets off a whole bunch of fights so that when the boss destroys most of the NPCs, you receive the experience because you were in battle with them at the time. Also, if carefully hidden from view, you can sneak attack a few times before the NPC gets angry and starts to react.